So here are the 10 checklist items if you want to get into mergers and acquisitions and acquiring multi-million dollar profitable companies. So these are the 10 things that you need. And in this video, that's what I'm going to be talking to you about. And if you want to acquire one company, and just do one deal and that's it, then you don't need this. Okay. But I assume and I hope that that's not why you listen to me, because you want to acquire one company. I hope that you listen to me because you want to build a portfolio of companies. Because this channel is about creating wealth and this model is about creating wealth, not just buying one company and that's it. So, people who come to me for my mentorship program, my clients, people who listen to me, and the reason I speak is to provide perspective of how you can position yourself to do that. There's only one reason you would want to do M&A and go through the complexity of mergers and acquisitions, and that is if you want to create wealth, generational wealth. And that doesn't happen with one deal. You're not going to get rich off one transaction. And when you do $1 million deal, it doesn't mean you have $1 million. That just means that you acquired a business that was worth $1 million, and most of the cash flow is going to go towards paying debt for some time, and then you're going to have that cash flow. But that's not what the M&A play is. M&A play is not a cash flow play, it's a capital gains play, meaning you build a portfolio and then you exit. So the big money comes when you exit. Just like a lot of software companies, they start off, they build up to a certain size and then they sell and the founder makes a bunch of money. This is similar to that, except you do this by creating a chain of companies. So that's what I want to put in perspective here. You need these 10 things if you intend to create a portfolio, and that has to be the goal. I know there is a lot of talk in the market about doing your first deal, but that's not the ultimate goal. It's to build a portfolio. So let's get started. Number one checklist item is a three-piece suit. And yes, you need it. It's a little bit overlooked. People take it a little bit lightly, but forget about making a deal. You won't be able to even open a conversation. Your conversion rates are going to be low. A lot of people are not going to take you seriously if you're not dressed up in a three-piece suit. I understand Mark Zuckerberg wears a t-shirt. He's worth $100 billion. He can do whatever he wants. But when he visits the court, he gets in a suit. Well, Elon Musk visits the courts. He's dressed up in a suit, three-piece suit, or a nice suit. And all the people in banking and finance and private equity, the investment world, a lot of them wear suits, and there is a reason for that. Image is important. Presidents wear suit. It's important how you dress up. Recently, President Zelensky was mocked in the White House for not wearing a suit. Now I understand it was a little bit extreme situation, but still he was mocked. And people tend to have a bias for people who wear a suit. You're perceived more professionally, you are respected. And I shared this story where I walk into this Fairmont hotel that I used to go often, but I would go in a t-shirt and I wasn't treated. I mean, I would go in and people were respectful, but when I was dressed up in a suit, they looked at me like I'm some, big founder and managing director of a healthcare investment company. And by that time, obviously, I was. So people look at you differently when you wear a suit. There is a bias. It communicates you're serious, and it enhances your image. And image is important in the corporate world. So number one is three-piece suit. You need that. Number two is a cash flow source to pay your bills. This is a medium to long term venture. This is not for you to uh, cover your quick expenses or your immediate financial problems, or, pay for your food bill. That's not what this venture is about. The goal of this venture is not to pay for your food bills. The goal of this venture is to create wealth. And that can take time because it takes time to create value. So you may not be able to depend on this venture at the beginning, because you're building value and you're bringing various pieces together. You have to stop thinking at some point like an employee. Employee thinks in terms of 1 month. If I can get my expense paid, or you're not able to pay your expenses and then everything is burning inside of you. And the solution is, you know what I need? I need $1 million deal. That's going to solve everything. But the uh, po- what it takes to get to $1 million deal is a whole different story. And it's a lot of pieces, it's a lot of moving parts, and that's not a way to solve your immediate financial problems. So you need a cash flow source that can pay your expenses while you create wealth. So that's important. Number two, also a very neglected point. If you don't have this, your odds of failure has increased dramatically. So make sure you have this piece. It's important. You cannot be bleeding on a negotiation table where this deal means life and death for you. You can't put yourself in that position. I'm taking you, you will be taken advantage of at the negotiation table. You're dealing with sharks here. The seller is going to see through it. The banker is going to see through it that this guy needs it desperately. He'll pay any price. He'll sign any guarantee we ask him to, and he sign any deal that we ask him to. If you want to do a deal bad enough, you'll do a bad deal. So don't do that. Have a cash flow source and have the walkaway power. And you need to set that up at the beginning. Otherwise, you'll be affected. Just a warning. Number three, a mentor. And yes, this is also overlooked because there is a lot of information out there. Dan Pena has said a lot of people have done this with free materials, but the biggest hitters had a mentor, and the more powerful the position, the more advice you need. A lot of the people ask me, you're so young, how are you so knowledgeable? Even my board members knew that the moves you're making are just, so strategic. How is that? It's because I had a mentor. And I've done over 50 courses. I've paid a lot of money to mentors. You know why? Because I wanted to avoid pain. I don't want to go through the pain that um, that I went through in my initial startup phases. And I want to be able to leverage off somebody else's experience. And, I remember a lot of the times I coach my clients and then I tell them exactly what to do. And then they end up closing a board member or doing something great. And then they come back to me and they say, oh, that was so easy. I didn't think it would be this easy. And I'd be like, yeah, it wasn't that easy for me. And the reason is because they're building on top of my experiences. And most of my clients have built much bigger boards than I did. So they're brought together a much bigger people than I did. And I have, I brought together a multi-billion dollar company CEO and lawyers that advised on $13 billion bank merger and, guys that that have raised hundreds of millions of dollars in capital in top firms, and now my clients have brought people that have raised billions of dollars, that have done transactions that are into 100 plus billion over their 35-year career. These are my clients, not me, because they're building on top of my experience and they're building on top of the pain that I went through. And it's not as hard for them as it was for me. Um, there is a saying, there is an analogy that initially when somebody climbs up the mountain, they climb with a great difficulty. And then they go there, they throw in the ropes. Then more people are able to climb the mountain because of the ropes. Then they create stairs. Then they throw stairs. Okay. And then after that, many more people can go and they can start building roads. And more people can come up to the mountain through that. And there is a lot of truth to it. So Dan Pena learned a lot from his mentors. And then he trained his mentees. And then I went and I implemented. And then I found so many challenges, even though I had the knowledge. And then even at the seminar, I was asking a lot of people, what he meant and taking a lot of notes from people who had done deals. Then I went into the ground and then I made a lot of mistakes. And when I coach my clients, I'm speaking from all of that experience and I'm helping them avoid things much early on, painful mistakes. Recently, one of my clients, um, went through a situation with a board member and he was suddenly affected. He messaged me and I immediately got him out of that situation. I provided some perspective and he was like, whoa, I didn't notice that. I wouldn't have thought about that. And I had been to the same spot and I was stuck on that spot and emotionally affected for many weeks, that one spot. And he was out of it very fast. Another client of mine said that I don't know what I would have done if you weren't here in this situation. I wouldn't know how to deal with this situation because there are finer details that you need answers to. And if you have a mentor, a guide, it's a lot easier. So I can help you reduce that pain. I can help you enhance your certainty, and I can help you increase the quality of your results. And one of my clients recently closed a top law firm on $250,000 of delayed fee. And my recent client also closed another law firm on delayed fee. And they brought very powerful people together, more powerful than what I brought. So that's the power of a mentor. Consider it. That's number 3. And I understand I have a bias, but doesn't mean I'm wrong. Number 4, you need a laptop, phone, and a LinkedIn. I know this is obvious, but I just wanted to put it out there. This doesn't need much explanation because all of the people that you'll be reaching out to is either going to be through phone, email, or LinkedIn. That's how easy it is these days. So you need these 3 things. Number 5 is region, which has banks, deals, and a legal system, a good legal system. So, this model is not independent of everything. If you do a sales or marketing course, all that matters is you and the prospect or the client. This model does not have that. This model needs an infrastructure. Your business model is connected to the overall infrastructure that exists in that country. So you need banks to raise capital because we are raising debt to be able to acquire majority stake in profitable million-dollar companies. And the second thing that you need is abundance of businesses to buy. Certain regions just don't have that many businesses. And you need a lot of deal flow, a lot of businesses that you can buy in your industry at the right price. And you need these businesses to be profitable. But mainly you need frequency of businesses. Why? Because not everybody wants to sell. Not everybody wants to sell at the right price. Some companies you don't want to buy because they're making a loss. So you want to buy profitable companies at the right price from motivated sellers. So the bigger the market, the better. The more opportunities, the better. So region that has banks, deal flow, and a good court system. Sometimes you may have to use the court system, legal system to enforce the agreements. And it's good to have a good legal system. Not just that, you don't necessarily have to go to a court. If the legal system is good, it generally keeps the population honest because of fear. So that's another aspect. If the legal system is good, you will have, everybody's kind of in check because they know they can get in trouble. So that's another reason for that. Now, there's no such thing as a perfect scenario. So there are regions which are a little bit tough and rough, but it has worked in those regions also. One of the regions is Hungary, where this has worked, which is not the most ideal place, but it worked. So that's, just a side note to keep in mind. Number 6 is industry. You need a profitable industry. This does not work in all kinds of industry, or I would say it doesn't work the best way in all kinds of industry. Now, this has worked in many industries, even the tougher industries this has worked in, because ultimately you're buying a company that exists. So it does work in a lot of industries, but certain industries are better than the other. For example, healthcare, your odds of success are very high in healthcare. So I would recommend choosing an industry where you have a high likelihood of success and you choose that industry. So I would recommend that you have a safer bet because, time is money and you want to position yourself not based on your personal preferences, but based on where you're going to get the maximum return on your time and maximum financial gain. So that has to be the North Star. And once you identify several industries that are profitable and have high likelihood of success, then the next step could be, okay, which one do I like? Then you can think about that. But I would keep financial return senior to everything and risk, of course. Number 7, dream team. Yes, you need one. There is so many things that I learned from my board members. I'm forever grateful to them. I would sit down with my lawyer and he would just explain these things to me, how we can form LLCs, various LLCs, and we can form an SPV, a special purpose vehicle, which will acquire the LLC and then we'll do the acquisition. The reason we do this is because it'll protect risk from the banks and it'll protect your position. It won't affect the portfolio. And we need to form another entity so that you can take out salary for yourself. And this is how we can flow money to the top. And all of these things to protect my position. And I would not have been able to do this if he wasn't there on my board. I would not have known that these things exist. And this is because he advises governments, banks, the billion-dollar companies, some of the top elites in the world. He is advised on how to structure these things because business can be risky and they can help you protect risk. I remember another senior partner from PwC, he would sit down with me for hours and he would explain to me corporate governance, different levels of companies, what are my powers, what are my rights as a major shareholder, what are the things that I can do with my power, and when I should use it, when I shouldn't use it, and what are going to be the implications of that. And he would advise me on these things. Another guy also from PwC, and he was also a chairman for a short period of time. He would look at the financial statements and he would just see things through it. And he would explain to me, I wouldn't see anything if I look at a financial statement, but when would sit down with him, he would spend hours explaining to me, listen, Prithvi, this is what's happening. These are the long-term implications. Ask him this question, get this data, and we'll adjust the cash flow. We can get a price reduction and we can protect a lot of risk, because these are the risks you need to be aware of, and this is how you structure it. And another legal expert, one guy, he kind of walked away from the deal, the seller. And I went to my lawyer and he said, you need to write a letter. And I was like, this is not a lover, that I should write a letter. And he's like, no, no, you should write a letter. We should write a cover letter. And one or two board members agreed with him. And I was like, why should we write a letter? Anyway, I gave them the authority. I said, fine, we'll write a letter. And then he said, could you draft something? I tried, I couldn't do it. So I gave it to him and then he drafted the letter. And the board read it and then we sent it to the seller. And guess what happened? He signed the LOI after reading the letter because the seller had misunderstood what the deal was because it wasn't drafted properly. It was drafted by a previous lawyer I had, not this one. And he drafted a completely new deal with a cover letter and he signed on it. And he didn't sign on the previous one. And this agreement was structured in a simple language and it had a cover letter explaining things. So, and I didn't understand what the purpose of the cover letter was. And then the lawyer said that because, sometimes these sellers can have advisors, family members. And if he has an advisor, he can just show the letter rather than verbally explaining the deal. He can show the cover letter that's drafted in a simple language and everybody can feel comfortable. So they could sense that there are more decision makers than the seller in the deal. And this letter would influence multiple parties rather than just one party. And that's the power of a written word. So whatever I would have said, comforting words to restore the deal at the meeting would not have worked. They knew because they knew that many other decision makers are also at play here that I don't see and I don't get to meet. So the reason how they influence that is through the letter. So I didn't know this. I was just blown away by this little tactic. And the letter was drafted amazing. And it was drafted by my lawyer. So you need to have dream team. Again, if you want to do one deal, you could do it, sell it 100% seller's finance. You don't have a lot of risk. But again, this project is about creating a portfolio, creating an investment vehicle that acquires many assets, not just one, because we're interested in wealth, not doing just one deal. So you need a dream team. Number 8, accounting and law firm. A lot of the times when you're raising big money to do big deals, the investor or bank would want to see audited financial statements. which are audited by external firms. These people are not interested in what your opinion is of the deal. They want a third party validating the work that has been done. So you can say, oh, our board did the work, but they will say, you have an interest in the deal. Of course, you're going to promote it. We want an external firm saying this is a good deal. And it has to be an external law firm, external accounting firm. It has to be top, and you need that. So again, probably for the first two deals, you don't need it. But after that, as you start increasing ticket sizes, you need them. And you need them on delayed fees. So you're not spending money out of pocket. You're raising capital at the closing and then paying off the law firm and accounting firm. So you need these law firm and accounting firm on delayed fee. You can't get them on delayed fee if you don't have a good quality board, and if you don't have the proper scripts and proper narrative to do that. These things take a certain intricacy to execute. And I haven't found anything online that helps you secure that. And a lot of the people struggle with this part, and some people convince themselves that it's not important, and then they don't do it. So this is an important step. Number 9, you need banks. You need banks, you need a lot of contacts with the banks. This is self-explanatory. You are raising capital to acquire businesses, and you need lots of banks. One bank may give you a bad offer. You have to be able to go to another banker, get a better deal. And if a one banker gives you a really good deal, you can use that deal to leverage with other bankers and sweeten their offers as well. So you need a lot of contacts with the bank. You need to set this up in advance. You can't stop looking. You can't start looking for a banker once you have a deal. That's not the time. You need to start establishing contacts with the bankers now, so that when you have a deal, it's much easier. You know which bank can finance it. You can just send the deal to that bank and get things moving. So you need the bank. Next, final thing, checklist, you need businesses to buy. So you need a big deal flow, and you need to talk to a lot of sellers, a lot of brokers, and line up many, many deals. Not every deal closes, and you need options. Otherwise, you're going to get desperate. So whatever deal that you're working on, let's say it's a $5 million, $10 million deal, and if those are the ticket sizes you want to go for, well, then you have to line up many of that same size. Because if too much depends on one deal, it's a recipe for disaster, because you're going to get needy. Not just you, your board members can get needy also. I had one board member who got really needy for one deal. I was fine. I knew it. But somebody on your team can also get needy. And the reason was because I didn't have enough options. So I had to go back and create more options to be able to feel secure. So you need enough deal flow. So to summarize, number 1, 3-piece suit. Number 2, cash flow to pay your bills. Number 3, a mentor. Number 4, laptop, phone, and LinkedIn, which is really electronics. Number 5, region with banks, deal flow court systems. Number 6, an industry, profitable industry to consolidate. Number 7, a dream team. Number 8, law and accounting firm. Number 9, banks. And number 10, businesses that you can buy. So if you like the video, hit the subscribe button and reach out to me if you're interested in getting mentored by me. I have a 24-month program. It's right now 24 months. I don't know how long I'm going to do it. So reach out to me. Clients are getting amazing results. And I'll offer you one call for free for you to be able to see, what this can do for you. Kind of like a trailer and an exploratory conversation. So if you're interested in that, click the link below. I'm going to leave my email. That's the best way to reach out to me, is via email. So reach out to me and I'll talk to you soon.